Hi, welcome. All right, we'll start with our opening prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vivishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jai Ma Jai Swami Vishnudevananda, Jai Swami Shivananda, and Jai Swami Jyotirmayananda, who brought us this translation. Okay, we will go ahead and start here. So we got the new book. I was there Monday, and we were able to pick up new orders. So if anyone needs a book, please let me know. We can figure out how to get you one. Of course, the online version is available. That's what you'll see on the screen here. And I think that's what I will continue to read from. Sita Devi was looking at this while we were reading, and she noticed just a couple of differences, minor differences. For the most part, they have kept the same formatting. So thankfully, the page numbers will be the same, regardless of which version you use. All right, so today we start with Rama's Dejection. I feel like we'll start with the daily life of Rama just to kind of lead us into the next section. After Sri Rama's return from his pilgrimage, 8 days were spent in festive celebrations. Sri Rama lived for a while joyously at home. He rose early in the morning and performed the religious rites. Then he went to the royal court of his father and listened to spiritual teachings from sage Vasistha and others. Later, he went out for sport with the permission of his elders. Then, in the evening hours, he performed his religious rites and conversed with his beloved companions, his brothers, and his friends. Thus did Sri Rama pass his days at his father's palace. His conduct was enchanting to others. He delighted the hearts of all people who lived around him. Section 5 is Rama's Dejection. Later, Sri Rama had attained 15 years of age, and so had his brothers Lakshmana, Bharata, and Shatrughna. Bharata lived at the home of his paternal grandfather. Then gradually, just as a lake shrinks to smaller size in winter, so too Rama began to wither day by day. His lotus-like face became pale. He sat motionless like a painted picture, never ever engrossed in anxiety, and his brothers followed his example. They too became immersed in grief. King Dasharatha, deeply concerned at this, asked Sri Rama about the cause of his grief, but Sri Rama would not state any cause for his sorrow. Then Dasharatha inquired of sage Vasistha regarding the condition of Sri Rama. Sage Vasistha answered, "O king, do not let this give rise to sorrow. Sri Rama's grief will turn out to be auspicious. Great men are not overcome by anger, dejection, and elation due to petty causes. Sri Rama is not overcome by sorrow due to ordinary reasons. Spiritual movement is based upon the foundation of dispassion. Dispassion, or vairagya, arises as a result of an integrated mind. As the mind is purified, the world of sense enjoyments is unable to please the mind. The intellect yearns to solve the riddle of existence. This stage is marked by grief in the mind of the aspirant. But unlike sentimental griefs arising out of petty causes, this grief is a precursor of an auspicious movement leading to self-realization. Yoga Vasistha portrays the spiritual movement in an ideal aspirant, Sri Rama, in order to present the wealth of spiritual wisdom before mankind. So I'm pretty sure I read this for yesterday's reading, but I decided to continue on just because apparently this is a really good understanding to have, that life more or less can be good, and or it can be bad. It doesn't really matter. They say that there is no objective good or objective bad, and so it doesn't really matter what the outside circumstances are. Each one of us at some point will be called to dispassion. This is where the idea of reincarnation comes, and perhaps we've been doing this several times. It's also called the dark night of the soul. It's when we start going inward and asking these questions of why do we exist? He says the intellect learns to solve the riddle of existence. All right, and we continue. The next section is the arrival of Vishwamitra. King Dasharatha waited patiently for the opportune conditions when Sri Rama might be freed from his misery. And it so happened that sage Vishwamitra was performing austerity in a nearby forest. But demons began to disturb his practices. His sacrificial altar was rendered impure by demons pouring flesh, blood, and impure materials over it. Sage Vishwamitra therefore proceeded to King Dasharatha to seek the aid of divine Rama for the performance of an unobstructed sacrifice. Although the sage could have destroyed the demons by a wrathful curse, he would not have his spiritual merits consumed in the fire of anger. The advent of sage Vishwamitra was announced to King Dasharatha by his gatekeepers. The sage shone with divine lusters due to his asceticism. The very surroundings beamed with the light of spirituality emanating from the effulgent face of Vishwamitra. King Dasharatha hastened to the sage, along with sage Vasistha and other sages and ministers. They saw Vishwamitra with his majestic personality and elegant form lit up with spiritual luster. He appeared as the very embodiment of divine grace. Spiritual nectar seemed to flow from his visage. King Dasharatha bowed his head at the feet of Vishwamitra and greeted him with soft, sweet words. O sage, you have graced me in the same way as the sun graces a lake full of lotus blossoms. I offer you as a gift whatever you desire. The purpose of your arrival will be fulfilled by me. Please command, and I will obey. Hearing these words, sage Vishwamitra was immensely pleased. They say when you're in the company of a saint, Catholic traditions have saints, other traditions have saints, or a sage, which is how they're referred to here. It's palpable. You feel it. You see it. And it's the experience that kind of tells you that it's true. Vishwamitra's request for Rama, section 7. Pleased with the hospitality of the sage, sage Vishwamitra said, O king, you are descended from a noble race and are guided by sage Vasistha himself. Please listen to what I have to say to you. Whenever I commence the performance of a yajna sacrifice for the attainment of spiritual perfection, or a siddhi, terrible rakshasas, or demons, appear and obstruct the successful process of the sacrifice. They destroy the sacrificial altar, shower flesh and blood, and thus destroy the sanctity of the sacrifice. Now I have come to you as one seeking refuge. I am in distress, and I require your help for the unobstructed performance of the yajnas, or the sacrifice. I could destroy the rakshasas, or the demons, by the fire of my anger, but I restrain myself lest my virtues be destroyed in the process. Your son, Sri Ramachandra, is verily a lion for destroying the elephant-like demons. Protected by me, he will destroy all the terrible demons, and I will be able to perform my sacrifice unobstructedly. This will lead me to the attainment of spiritual perfection, or of siddhi. Please do not waver from your promise due to your affection for Rama. These demons are as if already destroyed. Sri Rama is not an ordinary person. He is a great soul. This fact is known by me as well as sages like Sri Vasistha. Therefore, give Sri Rama to me. until the successful performance of the sacrifice. Thus saying, Vishwamitra resumed silence. So Swami Jyotirmayananda's commentary follows. A keen student of yoga may easily discern a mystic implication in this development. Sri Rama represents the ideal movement of spirit on the path of yoga. As the mind of an aspirant is gradually purified by the holy impressions gathered through pilgrimage, good association, and a disciplined life, it begins to invoke the cosmic expansion of the self with a capital S, our higher self. Therefore, Vishwamitra, literally meaning universal friend, seeks the assistance of Rama for the destruction of demons. King Dasharatha represents the ego self. Sri Rama is the soul in the process of lifting the veil of ignorance and recognizing his identity as the absolute self or Brahman. Success in sacrifice refers to the attainment of Jiva Mukti, or liberation in life, by which one's life in the world becomes a part of the cosmic sacrifice of God. In spiritual movement, the soul must be permitted by the ego to follow the dictates of the intuitive mind. Vishwamitra, universal friend or universal love. The intuitive mind can translate to Vishwamitra, which also translates to universal friend or universal love. The teachings of sage Vasistha reveal the wisdom of the self and enable the soul, or Rama, to follow the dictates of the universal love and thus succeed in destroying the demons who are symbolic of the forces of ignorance, egoism, pride, hatred, and various aspects of darkness. If we're just starting on this path, or we haven't for some time, we are aware of this, we talk about enlightenment and losing the ego, there can be all sorts of reactions, and it can feel like very threatening, and there'll be one part of you that's interested in this movement and another part of you that comes up with all sorts of crazy stories. And it's this, but I love the story of the Buddha when someone asked him, what did you gain by enlightenment? And he said, well, I didn't gain anything, but I lost egoism, pride, fear, hatred, anger, greed. And so it seems to be that's what our goal is here, is to just lose these things that no longer serve us. All right, we'll go ahead and close with our closing prayer. Om Purnamida Purnamidam Purnamudashate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Below Sakura Shivananda Maharaja Ki. Om Below Shri Swami Vishnu Devananda Maharaja Ki. Jai to Swami Jyotirmayananda, Jai Ma.